Hello and welcome back to another video on TGM Guitars. I want to start my video off how I always start them, thanking everyone who's shown support to the channel recently. Now I've been a bit lacklustre with the uploads lately, but I'm going to try and get that sorted out and actually try to upload some stuff on some sort of schedule. So if you haven't already and you enjoyed this video, then please be sure to subscribe down below, leave a like rating and leave a comment. And yeah, it'd be really good to get towards that 500 subscriber goal, which is my next one. Slowly creeping towards 400. So yeah, thanks for all the support. Without further ado, let's jump into the topic of today's video. So I kind of teased this a little bit in my last video where I went over my B rig for my gigs and showed you my new guitar that I'd purchased at the time. And today's basically going to be a video of me giving you my thoughts on it, a bit of a review, a bit of a demo, and let you guys know what I think of it. And that guitar in question is my Fender Player Series Telecaster. It's a Mexico Player, 2022 model, and yeah, that's what I'm going to be talking about today. So let's kick it off with a few specs on this guitar. Now, one thing I have changed, if you haven't already realised, is the pick guard. It comes with a white one, but I thought it looks better with a black, gives it kind of a bit more of a classic kind of look, and I quite like it. So I bought it in the 3-tone sunburst with a Palfaro fretboard, which it would be nice if it was darker, but it's not the most unattractive wood. I think with the white pick guard on it, it definitely made it look a little bit paler. Somehow the sort of the whole dark kind of aesthetic that I'm going for here with the sunburst black pick guard matches the Palfaro quite nicely. I think if it was too dark, it might ruin that a little bit. So it's maple construction neck, still got the skunk stripe in the back, Palfaro on top. It's kind of a C shape, a nice comfortable C, and your standard Player Series Telecaster pickups. The bridges on these are more of a modern style of bridge, so it's kind of like a bit of a mash-up of a Telecaster and a Stratocaster bridge with individual saddles. Makes it really easy to intonate. Standard three-way switch and standard knobs. I've put strap locks on it as well. I do that with all my guitars simply because I like to take them out and use them live. The bodywood, apologies, I've just got the specs up here on my phone, is older, and yeah, it's not too heavy. I was worried that it'd be quite a lump, because I know some Telecasters can be, but this is quite a comfortable weight, and it doesn't fatigue me too much during gigs. I've actually used this at a gig already, and it was quite comfortable to play. String through body, I've got it strung up at the moment with 10s, D'Addario 10s, and you've got the standard kind of Fender style tuners on the top here. So one thing I will mention as far as quality goes is I did have a little bit of an issue with it. When it came, first of all, strings were jacked right up. I know set up something you got to do on a new guitar, it's always kind of the first port of call, but I did the setup and was getting a nasty ringing from my high E string, which I eventually got down to being the actual nut slot. I originally thought it was fret buzz and was getting ready to send the guitar back to Anderton's and say, look, this is unplayable. But when I realised it's a nut slot and just a little bit of adjustment, I decided to take it on myself and get that fixed. So what it was I'd left a little burr in there, and it was causing the high E string to make this weird kind of like buzzing sound, which was quite annoying. But with a file, I just able to go in there and just clean it up to the point where it no longer buzzes, so it fixed that issue. I did originally think that just putting 10s on it might fix it, but yeah, just a little bit of adjustment there, nothing too major, and just getting that sorted out just fixed that. Now, with this being a kind of mid-level guitar coming in at the $599 price point, guitars are getting more expensive. This used to be a £400 guitar, but now they're about 600. There are always going to be a few little things that you're not happy with straight out of the box. And to be honest, it was only the setup and the nut slot. Apart from that, the guitar's great. The pickups, I think maybe the neck pickup is something I might look at changing in the future. Quite happy with how the bridge sounds, but the neck's a little bit muddy, and I'll show you that when we get on to playing in a minute. Tuners seem quite stable to me. I mean, I've not played it for a full gig. I usually play one guitar for the first half, one guitar for the second half, so this has been filling in for first half duties. As I use it more, I can give you a bit more feedback on that. And it would be nice if you could choose the pickup from the pick guard, sorry, from factory. So choose which colour you want it, but it's a little modification. I've got a cheap pick guard on it at the moment, but I will swap it out for a Fender one. Just bought the cheapest one on Amazon just to kind of try the style out, and if I didn't like it, I can always put the white back on. But I think that's enough rambling from me. What I'm going to do now is plug it in. Today we're going to go through the Marshall and just give you some sounds. And I did kind of do this in the last video with my setup, and you can hear it there as well, but it's a bit more in depth and more about the guitar than the amp and the pedals. So without further ado, let's jump over onto the amp and give you some sounds of this thing. So first things first, quick run through my signal chain. So I've got the Telecaster going through my pedal board into the Marshall, which is then going into my 2 Notes Torpedo Captor X, running a 1968 vintage style cabinet. And yeah, from there, it's coming to you guys via Cakewalk and a little bit of audio processing just to make things sound a little bit nicer and not as harsh. So let's first of all start off with a clean sound, and I'm going to call it a clean sound because it's a clean channel on the Marshall, and that is, well, as clean as you can get with this thing. So this is what it sounds like. I'll take you through each pickup configuration. Press record on there might be a good idea. I've done that way too many times before. So this is what it sounds like, completely clean bridge pickup. Bridge and neck. And last but not least, the neck pickup. So now if that's coming across, it's a little bit muddy when it gets to the neck pickup, which is why that's something I might look into changing in the future. Quite happy with how this sounds down here, but it just gets a little bit muddy, especially when you start adding gain to it, which is what I do most of the time. And with that said, that's enough clean stuff, isn't it? Now we're moving over onto the crunch channel, yeah, it's what it sounds like on here. So as you can tell, you can get that honky kind of classic Telecaster sound. I can't chicken pick, so I'm not even going to attempt that. So it's that kind of classic country inspired sound that you get, and I mean it's kind of synonymous with a Tele, so you know the kind of thing that well, it's just got that little bit of honk there, which is when these two match up. And as you could hear when I went to the neck, as I said, it's a little bit dark and muddy for me. Not quite as rounded as I like it, not as rounded as a Stratocaster pickup, for example. But I mean, for all intents and purposes, it works, it does what it needs to do. And as I said, I really do like this, this bridge pickup in here. It's got that kind of scaled back Les Paul sound to it, especially when you get some dirt on it. Wind the tone back a little bit, and it's a perfect rock guitar. So Now I'm going to go over here and chuck on. So I've got a little bit of grit in there from the Tube Screamer, and yeah, this is how it sounds. Starting off with the bridge pickup. Moving on to the neck. So yeah, I mean, it's got a good rhythm sound to it. That's definitely one of the strong points. This, I mean, to me, a Telecaster is synonymous with status quo, and that kind of shuffle, if you want to do that. This guitar can do it for days. Yeah, sometimes I find my hand gets a bit cramped doing that stuff, but that's probably more me than the actual guitar. It's yeah, just a perfect kind of rock guitar, rock and roll guitar, but can definitely do the higher gain stuff if you need it to, which is what I'm going to go into now. So, over onto the lead channel of the DSL 100, and yeah, let's give you some sort of lead kind of inspired riffs. I'll do riffs and solos as well, but starting again with this, what I think is a killer bridge pickup. So, I mean, it can do that stuff as well if you need it to. And it doesn't sound too... I was always worried this was going to sound thin. And to be honest, I'm a little bit more impressed with this neck pickup in that solo mode. I don't know if it was just when I was playing that gig, maybe my settings were a little bit wrong, or maybe it's just the wrong amp. I was using a Vox after all. But this Marshall really does make this guitar sing. So, you know, I think I'll definitely be taking this to the next gig and listening to it through the Marshall. So, last but not least, one of the sounds that I absolutely loved when I tried it out with my rig last time is my Little Big Muff sound. I was impressed by how massive this thing sounded for a single coil. So, let's give you a little bit of taste of that. I mean, I can't really complain at that. That is quite a high kind of gain thing to do with this kind of guitar, but it just sounds so big and massive, and it's something that really surprised me when I first plugged this in and played with it. As you would have seen, I was quite shocked and surprised back when I did it on that last video. Now what I will do is, I know there are a lot of people out there that are probably looking at buying this guitar or this similar kind of guitar for say a little bit more ambient, a bit more airy. So what I'm going to do is chuck some chorus on and play a little bit about with that, because, you know, trying to cater for everyone. I'm not an indie player, but I know it's kind of a indie thing to do this with your Telecaster, and these are very popular in that kind of scene at the moment. So So as you can tell, the single coils work very nicely with that kind of sound. I won't play too much with that, I'm not really that kind of player. But yeah, it's definitely a killer sounding guitar, whether you're using it for the heavy stuff or that kind of cleaner, more ambient stuff. But yeah, that's this guitar, and just a few sounds from it. So I hope you enjoyed kind of seeing that guitar and listening to a few sound excerpts from it. My playing might not be representative of what you'd use the guitar for or what you'd be interested in, but yeah, that's why I love the thing. I think it suits kind of different styles. You can put loads of gain on it, you can use it clean, and it sounds just as good either way. As I said, I'll be using that guitar for more gigs. Next one I'm going to be using the Marshall, or the B-Rig as I call it, so it's going to be really interesting to get that out and see what it does in that situation, because last time I used it with a Vox. But if you're looking for an entry-level Fender, then you can't go wrong with that Player Series. A lot of people will turn around and say, oh, but if you're going to get a Fender, get an American, it's a proper Fender that way. But I'll tell you what, I've got the Mexican Strat, I've got the Mexican Telecaster now, and I couldn't be happier. They do what I need them to do without completely breaking the bank. I mean, yes, they are pricier guitars now, and I've never tried a Squier. A Squier might be just as good, if not better value for money. I'll leave that for you guys to decide. But for me, that ticks the boxes. I've been after a Telecaster for a while, really since I got the Vox, because I just wanted that Telecaster sound. I had it with the cheap Rockets Telecaster. Sorry, I'm completely forgetting the name of that guitar now. And I just enjoyed it so much through the Vox. I just needed to get a proper Telecaster, and I mean, I finally did it, finally bit the bullet. I've been putting it off for ages, but I really couldn't be happier, and it's slowly becoming one of the favourite guitars in my arsenal. That being said, I've got a lot of guitars that I just like to play all the time, so it definitely fits in there nicely. But anyway, I'll try not to ramble on too much. I know I have a habit of doing that in videos. Thanks for watching, hope you enjoyed it. If you did, comment, rate, subscribe, all that good stuff, and be sure to show your support. Really motivates me to do more videos and get all this equipment out, because I hadn't set it up in a while, and then realised today how much of a ball ache it is to set up a proper lighting rig, but I think it's definitely worth it for these videos. So yeah, thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Cheers.